I found him bleeding in the alley behind my apartment building at 11:43 on a Tuesday night. I was taking out the trash because I'd forgotten to do it earlier and the smell was getting bad, and I figured better late than never. The alley was dark, except for one flickering streetlight that barely worked. I was halfway to the dumpster when I heard it. A sound like someone trying to breathe through water. Wet and desperate and wrong? I should have run back inside. I should have called the police and let them handle it. I should have done literally anything except what I actually did. But I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse for 6 years. And when you hear someone struggling to breathe, you don't think, you just move. I found him slumped against the brick wall about 20 feet from the dumpster. He was wearing what used to be an expensive suit. Now it was torn and covered in blood. His white shirt was completely red. His face was pale. His breathing was shallow. And when he looked up at me, his eyes were the most striking green I'd ever seen. Even dying, he was beautiful. Hey, can you hear me? I dropped to my knees next to him. Blood was everywhere. His abdomen, his side, his hands where he was trying to hold pressure on wounds I couldn't even see yet. I'm a nurse. I'm gonna help you, okay? He tried to say something, but just coughed. Blood came up. That was bad. That meant internal bleeding. That meant he needed a hospital immediately. I pulled out my phone to call 911, but his hand shot out and grabbed my wrist. Strong grip. Surprisingly strong for someone who looked like he was minutes from dying. No. His voice was rough, barely a whisper. No police. No hospital. You're gonna die if I don't get you help. I'll die faster if you call them. He coughed again. More blood. Please, just help me stop the bleeding. That's all I need. This was insane. This man needed surgery. He needed blood transfusions. He needed things I couldn't give him in a dirty alley behind my apartment building. But something in his eyes stopped me from arguing. Fear. Real fear. Not of dying, of something worse. I looked around the alley. Empty. No one watching. No one coming to help. Just me and this stranger who was bleeding out on the concrete. Okay, I'm gonna help you, but we need to get you inside. Can you walk? I can try. It took 10 minutes to get him up 3 flights of stairs to my apartment. He was heavy, probably 6 feet tall and solid muscle under that ruined suit. I'm 5'4" and 120 pounds. By the time we got through my door, we were both covered in his blood, and I was pretty sure I'd pulled something in my back. My roommate Jen was working a night shift at the hospital. She wouldn't be home until morning, which was good because I couldn't imagine trying to explain this. I got him to my bathroom and into the tub, turned on the light, and finally got a real look at the damage. 3 stab wounds, 1 in his side, 1 in his abdomen, 1 in his shoulder. The shoulder wound was the least serious. The side wound was bad, but manageable. The abdominal wound was the problem. Deep, still bleeding, possibly hit something important. I needed supplies. I ran to my room and grabbed the medical kit I kept in my closet. It was meant for emergencies, small injuries, minor problems, not whatever this was, but it was all I had. I cleaned the wounds as best I could. The man didn't make a sound, didn't scream, didn't cry, just gritted his teeth and stared at the ceiling while I worked. You need antibiotics, you need proper stitches, you probably need surgery. Do what you can. His voice was stronger now, less wet. I'll handle the rest. Who did this to you? People you don't want to know about. Are they coming here? Am I in danger? He looked at me then, really looked at me. Those green eyes focused and intense despite the pain he must have been feeling. I'll make sure you're not. I promise. I didn't believe him. But I also didn't stop working. It took 2 hours to clean and close all 3 wounds. My stitching wasn't perfect. They'd probably scar badly, but they'd hold. They'd keep him alive long enough to get proper medical care. When I finished, I gave him the antibiotics I had. strong ones left over from when Jen had a bad infection last year. Then I helped him out of the tub and into my living room. He collapsed on my couch and immediately passed out. I sat on the floor across from him and just stared. What had I just done? I'd brought a stabbing victim into my apartment. I'd given him medical care without reporting it. I'd probably broken a dozen laws and violated my nursing license and put myself in danger from whoever had tried to kill him. But when I looked at his face, peaceful now in sleep, I couldn't bring myself to regret it. I cleaned up the bathroom, threw away all the bloody towels and gauze, scrubbed the tub until no trace of blood remained. Then I took a shower and tried to wash away the evidence of the night. When I came back out, he was awake, sitting up, looking at me. Thank you. His voice was clear now, strong, like he hadn't almost died 2 hours ago. You're welcome, but you really need to go to a hospital. I can't, but I appreciate everything you've done. He tried to stand, winced, sat back down. Maybe in a few hours. You're not going anywhere for at least a day. Those stitches are barely holding. If you move too much, you'll tear them open and we'll be back where we started. I can't stay here. It's not safe for you. You already said you'd make sure I wasn't in danger. I will, but that's easier if I'm not here. Well, you're here now, and you're not leaving until I say you can. Understood? He smiled. Actually smiled. You're very bossy for someone who just met me. I'm a nurse. Bossy is part of the job description. I sat down in the chair across from him. What's your name? He hesitated, then said, Alexander. Alexander what? Just Alexander. Okay, just Alexander. I'm Maya Patel. And now that we've been introduced, you want to tell me who stabbed you and why? It's complicated. I've got time. He studied me for a long moment. Then he said, I run a business, a very successful business. Some people don't like how successful it is. They tried to send a message tonight. The message was that I should back off, or next time they'd finish the job. What kind of business? The kind where messages are sent with knives instead of emails. That told me nothing and everything at the same time. So you're a criminal? I prefer entrepreneur. Criminals always do. I stood up. I'm going to make coffee. Do you want some? Please. We sat in my living room drinking coffee at 3 a.m. like this was normal. Like I regularly brought bleeding strangers home. Like you regularly got stabbed and then had casual conversations afterward. Why didn't you want me to call the police? Because the people who did this have connections. If I show up at a hospital, they'll know. They'll find me before I can defend myself properly. And they'll probably hurt anyone who helped me along the way.
So I'm in danger just from bringing you here. You were in danger the moment you found me. But I promise you, I will make sure nothing happens to you. I have resources. People. I'll have someone watching your building starting tomorrow. No one will touch you. Why should I believe you? Because keeping you safe is the only way I can repay what you did for me tonight. He leaned forward. You saved my life, Maya. I don't take that lightly. I didn't know what to say to that. We sat in silence for a while. Then he said, You should get some sleep. You must be exhausted. I'm not leaving you alone. What if you pass out again? What if you stop breathing? Then I stop breathing. You've done enough. I'm a nurse. I don't do enough. I do whatever's necessary. He smiled again. Stubborn and bossy. Interesting combination. It's served me well so far. I made him lie back down on the couch, got him a blanket and a pillow, made sure he was comfortable. Then I sat in the chair with my phone in my hand, ready to call 911 if his condition changed. I must have fallen asleep at some point, because when I opened my eyes, the sun was coming through the windows and Alexander was gone. The blanket was folded neatly on the couch, the pillow was placed on top of it, and on my coffee table was a note written in surprisingly elegant handwriting. Thank you for everything. I will never forget what you did for me. A. That was it. No contact information, No explanation of where he'd gone or how he'd managed to leave when he could barely walk 6 hours ago. Just a thank you note and silence. I spent the rest of the morning cleaning, making sure there was no trace of him in my apartment. No blood, no evidence, nothing that could connect me to whatever he was involved in. Jen came home around noon. How was your night? Quiet. Just watched TV and went to bed early. You? She launched into a chaotic emergency room shift. I nodded and made appropriate sounds, but I wasn't really listening. I kept thinking about Alexander, about those green eyes, about the way he'd looked at me when he'd promised to keep me safe. I told myself I'd never see him again. Told myself this was just a weird story I'd have someday. Remember that time I saved a mysterious man's life and he disappeared? Something to tell at parties. Something to make me sound interesting. I almost believed it. Then the next morning arrived. I woke up at 8 because it was my day off and I never slept past 8 even when I didn't have to work. Made coffee, took a shower, got dressed, opened my apartment door to grab the newspaper from the hallway, and found a package sitting right in front of my door. A small black box, expensive looking, no label, no return address. I brought it inside and stared at it for a full minute before opening it. Inside was a ring. Not a normal ring, an engagement ring. Massive diamond, white gold setting. The kind of ring that cost more than I made in a year. Maybe more than I'd make in 5 years. And underneath the ring was a contract. Pages and pages of legal language. I skimmed through it, my heart pounding harder with every line. It was a marriage contract between me and someone named Alexander Volkov. It outlined terms, financial arrangements, living situations, expectations. It was dated and notarized. All it needed was my signature. And at the bottom of the last page was a handwritten note in the same elegant script from before. Maya, I told you I would repay you for saving my life. This is how. Marry me. Not for love, not for romance, but for protection. My enemies know you helped me. They saw you in the alley. They know where you live. The only way to keep you safe is to make you untouchable. Make you mine. This contract outlines everything. You'll want for nothing, you'll be protected always. And in 1 year, if you choose, you can walk away with enough money to never work again. All I ask is that you give me 1 year. 1 year to keep you safe and clean up the mess I've dragged you into. Please consider it. I'll send someone to discuss the details this afternoon. A. I read the note 3 times. Then I read the contract again. Then I sat down on my couch and stared at the ring. This was insane. This was the most insane thing I'd ever heard. He wanted to marry me? He wanted to sign a contract and become his wife for a year so he could protect me from people who apparently now saw me as a threat? You'll be protected always. That's what the note said, which meant I needed protection, which meant I really was in danger. I thought about calling the police, but what would I tell them? That I'd illegally treated a stabbing victim who then disappeared and now wanted to marry me? They'd laugh me out of the station. I thought about calling Jen, but she'd tell me to run, to leave Chicago, to change my name and start over somewhere safe. And maybe that was the smart move. But I'd spent 6 years building my career here. I had friends. I had a life. I didn't want to run. There was a knock at my door at exactly 2 p.m. I looked through the peephole and saw 2 men in suits, both tall, both serious looking, both standing with the kind of posture that said they were used to being obeyed. I opened the door, but kept the chain lock on. Maya Patel? Who's asking? My name is Ivan. This is Dmitri. We work for Alexander Volkov. He sent us to discuss his proposal.
I haven't decided if there's anything to discuss. May we come in? This conversation would be better held in private. I hesitated, then unhooked the chain and let them in. Ivan was older, maybe 50, gray hair, calm expression. Dmitri was younger, maybe 30, dark hair, watching everything. They sat on my couch. I sat in the chair across from them. Ivan spoke first. I assume you've read the contract. I skimmed it. Then you know what Mr. Volkov is proposing. A marriage of convenience. 1 year, full protection for you and your family, generous financial compensation, and at the end, if you choose, you walk away with enough money to never work again. Why does he want to marry me? He doesn't even know me. He knows you saved his life when you could have let him die. He knows you took a risk to help a stranger. That tells him everything he needs to know about your character. Ivan leaned forward. Miss Patel, I'm going to be honest with you. The men who attacked Mr. Volkov are part of a rival organization. They have connections throughout the city. They know you helped him. They've already started looking into you. Your address, your job, your family. Right now, you're seen as a loose end. Someone who can identify them. Someone who could testify against them. And loose ends get cut. My stomach dropped. Are you threatening me? No. We're trying to protect you. If you marry Mr. Volkov, you become family. Untouchable. These men won't risk the consequences of hurting you. But if you refuse, you're on your own. And I'm sorry to say, you won't last long on your own against people like this. Dmitri spoke for the first time. We've already had 2 men watching your building since yesterday morning.
3 more watching your workplace. We've intercepted 4 different attempts to gather information about you. These people are serious, Ms. Patel, and Mr. Volkov is the only thing standing between you and them. I felt sick. This couldn't be real. Things like this didn't happen in real life. What if I just leave, move to another city, change my name? They'll find you. These are people with resources, with connections, with patience. You'd be running forever. Ivan pulled out a folder and handed it to me. This is what we've gathered on the men who attacked Mr. Volkov. Look at it. See what kind of people we're talking about. I opened the folder. Inside were photos, crime scene photos, of bodies, of people who'd crossed these men and paid the price. I closed it immediately. So my options are marry a stranger or die. Your options are accept protection or try to survive on your own. Marriage is just the mechanism for that protection. Why marriage? Why not just guards? Why not witness protection or something? Because witness protection means cooperating with police, which means testifying, which means putting a target on your back that never goes away. Marriage makes you family. It makes you one of us. It sends a clear message that touching you means starting a war no one wants. Dmitri added, it's also legally binding. It gives you rights, access to resources, protection that goes beyond just security guards. I looked at the ring still sitting on my coffee table. And after a year, he just lets me go? That's what the contract says. 1 year. Then you're free to leave with $5 million and all the protection you need to start a new life anywhere you want. $5 million? I'd read that in the contract, but seeing it written down was different from hearing it said out loud. And what does he get out of this? Ivan smiled slightly. He gets to repay a debt. He gets to know that the woman who saved his life is safe, and he gets a wife who can accompany him to social functions where having a wife is expected. It's mutually beneficial. This is crazy. Yes, but it's the situation you're in, and you need to make a decision because every hour you wait is another hour you're vulnerable. When does he need an answer? Today. He'll be here tonight at 8 to discuss it in person. If you agree, we'll have the marriage ceremony tomorrow. Quiet, quick, legal. Then you'll move into his home where you'll be protected properly. Tomorrow? That's impossible. It's necessary. The longer you wait, the more danger you're in. They stood up. Ivan handed me a business card. This is a direct number to Mr. Volkov.
If you have questions before tonight, call. But please understand, this offer is genuine. He's not trying to trap you. He's trying to save you, just like you saved him." They left. I sat alone in my apartment, staring at the ring, at the contract, at the folder of crime scene photos. I called Jen. "I need to tell you something, and you're going to think I'm insane." I told her everything. The man in the alley, the stitches, the note, the ring, the contract, the visit from Ivan and Dmitri, the danger I was apparently in. When I finished, there was a long silence. "Jen? Are you still there?" "I'm here. I'm just processing the fact that my roommate is apparently living in a mob movie. This is real. This is actually happening. I believe you. The question is, what are you going to do?" "I don't know. Part of me wants to say yes because $5 million and not dying sounds pretty good. Part of me wants to run as far away as possible. Part of me thinks this is all some elaborate scam. Do you trust him, this Alexander guy?" I thought about his face, about the way he'd looked at me, about the promise he'd made. I think he meant what he said about keeping me safe. I don't know if I trust him beyond that. Then maybe that's enough. Maybe trust his self-interest. If he's going through all this trouble to protect you, he must have a reason. And if that reason keeps you alive, does it really matter what it is? She had a point. "When do you need to decide?" "He's coming here at 8 tonight. Then I'll be home by 7. You're not meeting a mob boss alone." "Thank you." Hey, what are roommates for if not to help you decide whether to marry a dangerous stranger? I spent the rest of the afternoon rereading the contract, more carefully. It was surprisingly fair. I'd have my own money, my own accounts, access to everything I needed. I could continue working if I wanted, or not, my choice. There were rules about discretion, about not discussing his business with anyone, about maintaining the appearance of a real marriage in public. But in private, we'd basically be roommates with legal protection. At the end of 1 year, I could file for divorce, no questions asked, no penalties, just $5 million and a new identity if I wanted one. It seemed too good to be true, which usually meant it was. Jen got home at 7:15. We ordered pizza and sat in the living room waiting. "Are you going to say yes?" "I think so. I mean, what choice do I really have?" "You always have a choice." "Not a good one. Not one that doesn't involve running forever or ending up like those people in the photos." She squeezed my hand. "Then say yes. Take the protection. Take the money. Survive the year and then get out and live your life." "You make it sound so simple." "It is simple. You're just scared." "Of course I'm scared. I'm agreeing to marry a criminal." "You're agreeing to save your own life. There's a difference." At exactly 8 o'clock, there was a knock. I opened the door. Alexander stood there looking completely different from the bleeding, dying man I'd found in the alley 2 nights ago. He was wearing a different suit, perfectly tailored, dark gray. His hair was styled, his face was clean, and those green eyes were just as striking as I remembered. "Maya, thank you for seeing me." His voice was deeper than I remembered, stronger. "Come in." He walked in and nodded politely at Jen. "You must be the roommate." Jennifer Chin.
And yes, I'm the roommate who's making sure this isn't some weird serial killer situation. He smiled. "I appreciate your caution, but I assure you I have no intention of harming Maya. Quite the opposite." Jen looked at me. "I'll be in my room. Yell if you need me." She left. Alexander and I sat down. He looked at the ring and contract on the coffee table. "You've read it?" "Yes." "Do you have questions?" "About 1,000, but mainly why? Why go through all this trouble for someone you don't know?" "Because you risked everything to help me when you didn't have to. Because I owe you my life. And because I made you a promise. I don't break my promises." "Ivan and Dmitri said I'm in danger, that the men who attacked you know about me." "They do, and they will come for you if you're not protected. This isn't me trying to scare you. This is reality. I wish I could tell you differently, but I can't." "And marriage is really the only way to protect me?" "It's the most effective way. It makes you mine. It makes you family.
In my world, that means something. It means anyone who touches you answers to me, and no one wants to answer to me. The way he said it sent a chill down my spine. Not fear, something else. What if I say no? Then I'll do my best to protect you anyway, but it won't be as effective, and I can't make any promises about how long you'll be safe. I picked up the ring. It was heavier than I expected. This is a real diamond. Of course, if we're doing this, we're doing it properly. And after a year, I can just leave? No strings? No strings. You'll have money, documents, everything you need. And if you want, I'll make sure you're set up somewhere safe where my world can't reach you. I turned the ring over in my hands. You're really serious about this? I don't joke about things like this. I looked at him, really looked at him, at the man who'd almost died in my arms 2 nights ago, at the man who was now offering me protection and money and a way out of a mess I hadn't asked to be part of. Okay, I'll do it. Something in his expression softened. You're sure? No, but I don't see a better option. So yes, I'll marry you. He reached out and took the ring from my hands. Then he took my left hand and slid it onto my ring finger. It fit perfectly. How did you know my ring size? I have excellent resources. Of course he did. The ceremony is tomorrow at 2, City Hall, quick and legal. Ivan will pick you up at 1:30. What do I tell people, my family, my friends? Tell them you met someone. It was fast. You're happy. Keep it vague. The less people know, the safer everyone is. I nodded. This was really happening. I was really agreeing to this. One more thing. He pulled out an envelope and handed it to me. This is immediate access to accounts in your name, $500,000, for anything you need. Wedding clothes, moving expenses, whatever you want. The rest comes at the end of the year. $500,000. Just like that. You're really not worried I'm going to take this and run? Where would you run that I couldn't find you? Besides, I don't think you're the type to run. You're the type who stayed to help a dying stranger. That tells me everything I need to know. He stood up. Get some rest. Tomorrow is going to be a long day. He walked to the door, then turned back. Maya, thank you for everything. I know this isn't what you wanted, but I promise I'll make sure you don't regret it. Then he was gone. I sat there staring at the ring on my finger, at the envelope of money on the table, at the contract that would change my life. Jen came out of her room. So, what happened? I'm getting married tomorrow. Holy shit. Yeah. Are you okay? I have no idea. The next day was a blur. Ivan picked me up at 1:30 in a black car that probably cost more than my apartment. Drove me to City Hall. Alexander was waiting outside wearing a different suit, this one black. He looked like he belonged on a magazine cover, not in line at City Hall with a nurse he'd known for 3 days. The ceremony took 10 minutes. We signed papers, a judge said words, we said I do, and then it was done. I was married. To a stranger, to a criminal, to a man I'd saved in an alley who was now my husband. We took photos because apparently that was required. In every picture, Alexander's hand was on my waist, possessive, protective. When it was over, he said, "There's a car waiting to take you to the house. Your things have already been moved." What? How? I had people pack your apartment this morning while you were getting ready. Everything you need is at the house. If we missed anything, just tell Ivan and he'll get it. This was moving too fast. Everything was moving too fast. What about Jen? What about my apartment? Your half of the rent is paid for the next year. Jen won't have any problems, and you can visit whenever you want. You're not a prisoner. Maya, you can do whatever you want. You just need to do it with security. The car took us to a house that was really more like a mansion. 3 stories, gate out front, security everywhere, the kind of place I'd only ever seen in movies. Inside was even more impressive. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, art on the walls that was probably worth more than I'd make in my lifetime. "This is your home now," Alexander gestured. "The staff will help you with anything you need. Your room is upstairs, second door to the right." "My room? We're not sharing?" "This is a marriage of convenience, not romance. You'll have your own space, your own privacy. I won't intrude unless you invite me to." That was a relief. At least he wasn't expecting me to actually be his wife in that way. A woman appeared, maybe 60, warm smile, kind eyes. "This is Margaret. She manages the house. Anything you need, ask her." Margaret shook my hand. "Welcome, Mrs. Volkov. It's lovely to meet you." Mrs. Volkov. That was my name now. For at least a year. Margaret showed me to my room. It was bigger than my entire apartment had been. King-size bed, walk-in closet, private bathroom with a tub that could fit 3 people, and all my things, my clothes, my books, my pictures, everything packed and arranged like I'd always lived here. I sat on the bed and tried to process everything. 24 hours ago, I was a normal nurse living in a normal apartment. Now I was married to a man I barely knew, living in a mansion, with more money than I'd ever dreamed of. It was too much. All of it. There was a knock on my door. "Come in." Alexander entered. He'd changed out of the suit into casual clothes, jeans and a dark sweater. He looked almost normal. "How are you doing?" "Overwhelmed?" "Understandable." He sat in the chair by the window, not on the bed, keeping distance between us. "I know this is a lot. I know I've turned your life upside down, but I meant what I said. You'll be safe here. You'll be taken care of. And in a year, you can decide what comes next." "What if I want to leave before a year?" "Then you leave. I'm not keeping you prisoner. But the full payment only comes after a year.
Before that, you'd leave with what you've already been given. 500,000 versus 5 million. Not a hard choice. And in the meantime, what am I supposed to do? Just live here and pretend to be your wife? You can work if you want, or not. You can pursue hobbies, take classes, whatever you want. The only requirement is that when I need you to appear in public with me, you do. Business dinners, social events, things where having a wife is expected. How often? Maybe once a week, sometimes more, sometimes less. It depends. And the rest of the time? The rest of the time you do whatever you want. Read, paint, learn a language, I don't care. Just be safe and be available when I need you. It sounded almost too easy. What's the catch? There's no catch. This is exactly what I said it was. Protection in exchange for presents. That's all. He stood up. "Dinner is at 7. Margaret will show you to the dining room. Try to relax, get comfortable. This is your home now." He left. I lay back on the bed and stared at the ceiling. My phone rang. Jen. "Are you alive?" "Yes." "Are you okay?" "I think so. I'm at his house. It's huge. I have my own room. He's being very polite and distant. That's good, right?" "I guess. It's just weird. All of it." "You're married to a mob boss. Weird is kind of expected." I laughed despite everything. "True. Listen, I have to get ready for work, but call me if you need anything. And I mean anything. I will call every cop in Chicago if something goes wrong." "I know. Thank you. Love you, crazy person." "Love you too." I spent the rest of the afternoon exploring the house. It was massive. More rooms than I could count. A library with floor-to-ceiling books, a gym, a pool, an office I was told was Alexander's and I shouldn't enter without permission. At 7, I went to the dining room. Alexander was already there, still in casual clothes, looking relaxed. We sat at opposite ends of a table that could seat 12. Margaret served food, expensive food, the kind I'd only had at fancy restaurants. We ate in silence for a few minutes, then Alexander said, "Tell me about yourself." "What do you want to know?" "Anything, everything. If we're going to be married for a year, I should probably know more about you than the fact that you're a nurse who's good in a crisis." So I told him about growing up in Chicago, about my parents who'd immigrated from India before I was born, about my younger brother who was in medical school, about becoming a nurse because I wanted to help people, about my normal, boring life that had been completely upended 3 days ago. He listened, actually listened, asked questions, seemed genuinely interested. Then I said, "Your turn. Tell me about you. What do you want to know? What kind of business are you actually in?" He smiled. The kind that asks you to not ask questions like that. "So, definitely illegal. Let's say it operates in gray areas. And the men who stabbed you? Competitors who don't understand boundaries. Are they going to try again? Probably, but they won't succeed. And they definitely won't touch you." He said it with such certainty, such confidence. How can you be so sure? Because I've made it very clear what will happen if they do, and even my competitors aren't stupid enough to cross certain lines. We finished dinner. He walked me back to my room, stopped at the door. "Get some rest. Tomorrow someone will come to help you set up your new accounts and documents. Make sure everything is in order." "Okay." "And Maya." "Yes?" "Thank you for agreeing to this. I know it's not ideal, but I'm grateful." He walked away down the hall. I went into my room and closed the door, looked at the ring on my finger. I was married to Alexander Volkov for 1 year, and somehow I needed to figure out how to survive it. The first week was strange. I had nothing to do, no job to go to, no responsibilities, just a massive house and unlimited money and time to think about how surreal my life had become. Margaret was kind. She checked on me regularly, made sure I had everything I needed, never asked questions about the sudden marriage or why a nurse was suddenly living in a mansion. Ivan came by on day 3. "Mr. Volkov wants to make sure you're settling in." "I'm fine. It's just taking adjustment." "Of course. He also wanted to give you this." He handed me a phone. "It's secure. Has direct lines to security, to Mr. Volkov, to everyone you might need in an emergency. Keep it with you at all times." Am I in that much danger? Probably not. But probably not isn't the same as definitely not. Better to be prepared. On day 5, Alexander asked me to have dinner with him again. This time the conversation was easier, less awkward. We talked about books and movies and normal things. He was surprisingly funny, smart, easy to talk to when he wasn't being mysterious and intimidating. At the end of dinner, he said, "I have a business event on Saturday. Charity gala. I'll need you to come." "What do I wear?" "Whatever you want. Margaret will help you pick something appropriate." "Have you told people about us? About getting married?" "I've told the important people. The rest will find out on Saturday." "Are they going to ask questions? About how we met?" "Probably. We'll keep it simple. We met a few months ago, got close quickly, decided life was too short to wait. Keep it vague. People will fill in their own stories." Saturday arrived. Margaret helped me pick a dress. Dark blue, elegant, expensive. The kind of dress I'd never have bought for myself. She also helped with my hair and makeup. When I looked in the mirror, I barely recognized myself. I looked like someone who belonged in Alexander's world. Alexander was waiting in the foyer. He was wearing the tuxedo. He looked like he'd stepped out of a magazine. When he saw me, something changed in his expression. "You look beautiful." "Thank you. You clean up pretty well yourself." He smiled. "Shall we?" The gala was at a hotel downtown. The ballroom was full of people in expensive clothes. Everyone looked important, powerful, like they were used to being the most successful person in any room. Alexander's hand stayed on my lower back the entire time, guiding me, keeping me close, showing everyone I was his. People stared, whispered, clearly curious about the new wife. Alexander introduced me to dozens of people. I smiled and shook hands and made small talk about nothing, played the role of the happy newlywed. Then a man approached. Older, maybe 60. Something about him made my skin crawl. "Volkov, I heard you got married. Congratulations." His eyes slid to me. "You must be the bride." "Maya." I offered my hand. He took it, held it too long. "Sergei Kozlov, a business associate of your husband's." The way Alexander's hand tightened on my waist told me this man was more than a business associate. "Sergei?" Alexander's voice was cold. "I didn't know you'd be here." "I go where business takes me. You know that." His eyes were still on me. "Your wife is lovely. I hope you're keeping her safe. So many dangerous things can happen in this city."
"She's perfectly safe. Of course, I'm sure you're very protective." He smiled. "Enjoy your evening." He walked away. I looked at Alexander. Who was that? Someone you need to stay away from. Is he one of the men who stabbed you? No, but he works with them, and that comment about keeping you safe was a threat. Should I be worried? No, because I am very protective, and he knows what will happen if he touches you. We left the gala early. Alexander was quiet in the car. When we got home, he walked me to my room, stopped at the door. "I'm sorry about Sergei. He was out of line." "It's fine. I handled it." "You did. Very well, actually." He paused. "You're good at this, playing the role. Years of dealing with difficult patients prepared me for dealing with difficult criminals, apparently." He laughed. "I suppose that's one way to look at it." He started to walk away, then stopped and turned back. "Maya, if anyone ever makes you feel unsafe, even slightly, I need you to tell me immediately. The phone Ivan gave you has a panic button. Use it if you need to. I'll come, no matter what." "Okay." "I'm serious, Maya. Your safety is the most important thing. More important than appearances, more important than business, more important than anything. Understand?" The intensity in his voice made something flutter in my chest. "I understand." After that night, things changed between us. We started having dinner together every evening, started talking more, learning about each other. He told me about his childhood, about his father who'd built the business, about the pressure to live up to expectations, about the weight of being responsible for so many people. I told him about my fears, about wanting to help people, but feeling helpless sometimes, about the night I found him and how scared I'd been that he'd die in that alley. We became friends, or something close to friends. It was weird and complicated and probably not what either of us expected when we'd signed that contract. A month into the marriage, I woke up to voices outside my door. Loud voices, angry voices. I grabbed my phone and looked at the time. 3 a.m. I opened my door carefully, looked down the hallway. 3 men were arguing. Alexander and 2 others I didn't recognize. They were speaking in Russian. I didn't understand the words, but I understood the tone. Threat, anger, danger. I was about to go back into my room when one of the men pulled out a gun. Time slowed down. I saw Alexander's expression change, saw him start to move, saw the other man raise the gun. I didn't think. I ran down the hallway and threw myself between them. Heard someone shout, felt Alexander grab me and pull me behind him, heard the gun go off.
Everything went quiet. I was on the floor. Alexander was covering me with his body. The two men were on the ground, security guards standing over them. One of them was bleeding. "Are you hurt?" Alexander's hands were all over me, checking for injuries. "Did they hit you?" "No, I'm fine. Are you okay?" "What the hell were you thinking? You could have been killed." He was angry. Actually angry. "I couldn't just watch someone shoot you." "So you threw yourself in front of a gun? That's your solution? It worked, didn't it?" He stared at me. Then he did something completely unexpected. He kissed me. Hard and desperate and fierce. When he pulled back, we were both breathing hard. "Don't ever do that again. Ever. Do you understand me? Okay? I'm serious, Maya. I can handle myself. I've been doing it for years. But I cannot handle watching you get hurt because of me. Okay. I promise, no more throwing myself in front of guns." Security took the two men away. Alexander took me back to my room, sat me on the bed, checked me over again, even though I kept telling him I was fine. Who were they? Former associates who thought they could make demands. They were wrong. Did you know they were going to come here? I suspected they might. I should have increased security. I should have been more careful. "Hey," I took his hand. "I'm fine. You're fine. Everyone's okay." He looked at our joined hands, then at my face. "You saved my life. Again." "Well, we're even now. You saved me first by offering me protection." "This isn't funny." "I know, but if I don't joke about it, I'm going to start shaking and not stop." He pulled me into his arms, held me tight. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. This should never have happened. You should never have been in danger. I knew what I was signing up for." "Did you?" Because I don't think either of us really understood what this would mean. We sat there for a long time, just holding each other. When he finally let go, he said, "Sleep in my room tonight." "What?" "Not like that. I need to know you're safe. I won't sleep otherwise. You can have the bed. I'll sleep in the chair." "Alexander." "Please." So I followed him to his room. He gave me something to sleep in, turned away while I changed. Then I got into his bed while he sat in the chair by the window. "This is ridiculous. You can't sleep in a chair." "I'll be fine." "There's plenty of room in the bed. Just stay on your side." He hesitated. Then he got into the bed, on top of the covers, as far from me as possible. "Thank you." "For almost getting shot?" "For caring enough to try to stop it." I didn't know what to say to that. We lay there in silence. Then I said, "That kiss earlier. I'm sorry. That was inappropriate. Was it real or was it just adrenaline? Does it matter?" "Yes." He was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "It was real. Every feeling I've had for you since the night you saved my life has been real. But it doesn't change anything. This is still a contract. Still temporary. You're still free to leave in 11 months. What if I don't want to leave?" The words came out before I could stop them. He turned his head to look at me. "What?" "What if I don't want to leave? What if I want this to be real?" "Maya, you can't mean that." "Why not? We get along. We care about each other. You make me feel safe. I make you feel, I don't know, something. That's more than a lot of real marriages have."
This world, my world, it's dangerous. You saw that tonight. I can't ask you to stay in it. You're not asking. I'm offering. You're in shock. You almost got shot. You're not thinking clearly. Maybe, But I don't think that's it. I think I've been feeling this for weeks, and tonight just made me brave enough to say it out loud. He reached over and took my hand. Let's talk about this tomorrow, when we're both thinking more clearly, when the adrenaline has worn off. Okay? Okay. But Maya, if you still feel this way tomorrow, if you still want to try to make this real, then we'll figure it out. Together. I fell asleep holding his hand. When I woke up, he was still there, still holding my hand, still watching over me. We talked the next morning, really talked, about what making this real would mean, about the dangers, about the expectations, about everything. And by the end of it, we decided to try, to turn our contract marriage into something real. It wasn't easy. We had a lot to figure out, a lot to work through. But for the first time since I'd found him bleeding in that alley, I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. 6 months later, I came home from visiting Jen to find Alexander in the living room surrounded by papers. What's all this? The contract. I'm tearing it up. My heart stopped. What? Why? Because I don't want you here because of a contract. I want you here because you want to be here, because you choose me, not because of money or protection or obligation, just because of us. He held out his hand. So I'm asking you again, properly this time. Maya Patel Volkov, will you marry me? For real this time. For love. Forever. I looked at this man who'd somehow become my best friend, my protector, my home. This man I'd saved in an alley who'd turned around and saved me right back. Yes. 1,000 times yes. He kissed me, and this time there was nothing complicated about it, nothing temporary. Just us. Just love. Just forever. My name is Maya Volkov. I'm 29 years old. I'm a nurse who once found a stranger bleeding in an alley. I bandaged his wounds. I saved his life. And the next morning, he sent me a ring and a contract. But what started as a business arrangement turned into the greatest love story I could have imagined. Because sometimes the person you save ends up saving you right back. Sometimes the most unexpected situations lead to the most beautiful outcomes, and sometimes you find your forever in the last place you'd ever think to look. Did you like my story? What city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe and support me by sending a super thanks so I can keep bringing more stories like this. Thank you so much for your support. I'm looking forward to your comments. On the screen, you can see 2 new life stories that I highly recommend. There's so much more on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story with love and respect.